hope everyone enjoyed the bull rally because it's over. See this right here? Nah, I'm trolling. I'm trolling. But we got some stuff to look at today or tonight. We got some stuff to look at tonight, okay? Some very good stuff. Some very good stuff. This guy's back on the top, bro. I've been on here every Sunday, every Wednesday. What's up, Ray? And the thing is, man, when everything that I came on here and said has happened, what can you really do? What can you really do? We had a great week last week. Great week last week. One, two, three, four, five, six. 6 for 2. Not that bad. Some big bangers. Some big bangers. Last week did incredible. Yeah, man. We've been cooking, man. We've been doing some cooking, okay? And the cooking is not done, okay? The cooking is not done, okay? We just served up lunch. About to serve up dinner here soon because we know this rally is we know we're getting in bubble territory, okay? We've been in bubble territory. We've been there. We've been in it. We're in it right now. But I think the fun is still to be had. I think the Nasdaq can obviously get to 32K. I think the Qs can end up, surpassing the S&P 500 to 800, right? The S&P 500 is gonna the move to 800. I think the Nasdaq will get there first. Okay, I think the Nasdaq is gonna get there first. But we'll talk about all of that. Okay, we're gonna look at a few individual stocks. We're gonna look at what the Qs is doing now. What I don't like is this candle that we closed on, and the fact that the RSI is so high. So I would personally like a breather, okay? Personally, me, I'd like a breather. We've rallied, almost 30%, which is absolutely insane. A whole bunch of money has been made, okay? So, a pullback would make a lot of sense. A nice little breather for that next leg to the upside. I think we could get to 800. I don't know if news is going to push it lower. I don't know, okay? What I do know is we have a new Fed. We have a new Fed, right? Kevin Warsh, I don't know. And we also have the Iran stuff that hasn't quite figured itself out. We also have China saying they're not really buying any of the tech in the United States. Okay, so there's some news that could possibly happen. I don't know what news is going to happen. Okay, we also have the yields, going crazy. So there's a few things. But what I don't like is this weekly candle that we closed above and the RSI from a technical standpoint. Okay, so we look at we could just look at the last times it was this high. 74. The last time it was right here was November 3rd. We had this little pullback that you see right here, right? The last time it was this high, it was right here. Let's see what happened right here. This happened right here. Matter of fact, I actually want to come over here and look at this one a bit closer because this is the same exact candle. This is the same exact candle that we had that we're having right now. Okay, so followed by a huge rally. So this is actually interesting. I actually want to see how, I'm not going to say this is exactly what's going to happen, right? But it went up 21%, okay? 21%. This one 30%, okay? But the last time the RSI has been this high, you usually get a pullback, okay? You just usually do. The last time it was this high was right here. It was right here. It didn't, pull back. Last time it was this high. Like every single time it gets this high during the rally, we get, maybe some consolidation, but ultimately we do get a pullback, okay? So I'm not gonna say we're getting a pullback. I don't know, okay, but I do know the next pullback. You want to make sure, okay, just like how we talked about this Iran war, just how we talked about this Iran war, how you wanted to get in on this pullback. The same, like we knew the market was gonna go higher. We talked about it every single time we went live. We said we were gonna get all-time highs, and all-time highs came. We said the Q was gonna get 700. 700 came. Okay, so if we get any brief pullback, hopefully we get a nice pullback, maybe to retest the high or something. You want to make sure you're buying that pullback, okay? Because that'll be the last pullback before the next rocket ship to the upside. Okay, there's a lot of things that haven't rallied. Okay, crypto has not rallied. Software stocks have not rallied. Microsoft has not rallied. Tesla has not rallied. SpaceX is coming. Anthropic is IP. Like there's a lot of stuff happening. Okay, but anyways, I do want to look at some individual stocks and see what we can find. All right. I'll look at some individual stocks and see what we can find. Let me see what you guys are talking about in the comments. Nvidia, there's going to be some short-term downside. Then we go. I'll be following this. SpaceX, guys, please don't listen to me. It's over. We're going down. Shop. I definitely want to look at Shop. Now looking good over at night. Yeah, now it's going absolutely crazy. I want to look at Oracle. I want to look at Shopify as well because we know this stock is going to $0. Okay, we know this stock is going to $0. The main reason it's going to $0 is because this is an Adobe situation. Okay, if you want to short something and you want to, if you want to short something and have something go, I think it could possibly go back to $20. Okay, and the reason being is because Shopify's business model is completely getting taken over by AI. Okay, it's just not like they build websites. Like I can go on Cloud and tell it to build me a website and put a payment method, Stripe, and like it'll do all that for me. So Shopify's whole business model is completely gone. Just like Adobe, right? We've been telling you to short Adobe since like 450. Okay, just like Duolingo. So if you've been following me for a while, you know like these like we know we've talked about Duolingo and Adobe being just some of the easiest shorts that you can ever get. Duolingo back when it was like 400 plus and nobody believed me. Okay, we have a Twitter post about this. It was 400. I was like, man, short this to $50. Okay. Adobe, same thing. I think we can now add Shopify to that list. Okay, so when we look at Shopify, Shopify is, like I said, the business model just isn't there. Okay, it just isn't there. So I anticipate a large downfall. I don't anticipate this to make a new high at all. I really don't. So very bearish on it. It's not breaking below. It's not breaking below a huge support 108, and I think you can go back to April tariff lows. Okay, which would make a whole lot of sense. Okay, I think you can go back to April tariff lows, but you want to be a bit more careful on something like this, just because it already has went from 136 all the way down to 93. It could, so that's what I've been paying attention to. But if you're looking to short it, maybe get like some December $70 calls or $70 puts just for some easy money. Okay, but I think it's bearish, very bearish. I want to look at Oracle. I want to look at Oracle because Oracle has been on a tear. And the level that it needs to continue to hold above is 178 pretty much. Okay, I like Oracle. I like Oracle, but the thing is, you got to be careful when you're buying some of this stuff. Okay, you got to be careful of where you're buying some of this stuff, especially when it continues to fail to close above where it needs to hold above, which is 194. Okay, the reason is 194 is the swing high to the swing low that you have right here. This is a big resistance point because if it could now break above and start holding above 190, I'd really say like 195, it can start reaching towards 230s. Okay, so Oracle is at an interesting point in time. Definitely a spot that I've been paying attention to because, like I said, it could start going to 230s if it can hold above where it's at right now, which is 295. Okay, so that means obviously IGV needs to remain strong, which is the software ETF, which I believe, like I said, I believe we're in an extreme bull run, and it would make sense for softwares to start getting bid, especially when you have a rotation that could possibly happen. Now, I'm not gonna say it's happening right now because we do have the Qs looking like how it's looking, etc. But I think it could possibly come. Okay, but yeah. I've been paying attention at this level, 195, okay? Because if it can start holding above, it's going to 225. And then 178 is the downside move. All right. But one thing I don't like is the fact that it is like you are getting some bearish divergence right here. Okay, some bearish divergence. You're getting a higher highs, but this is making lower highs on a daily time frame. Okay, even on a 4 hour, like yeah. So it's actually weak. Okay, we're being honest. It's actually weak right now until it can start closing above 195. So I'd be paying attention to that. See what it does above 195. It keeps rejecting that level. It's even having some bear divergence on every single time frame. On every single time frame. So it'll be fun to see. I want to see it above 195 because this is victim. You guys know we talk about victim levels a lot. Okay, and that just means it matters where you buy it. Okay, it matters. Okay, so when we're talking about victim levels, it just means like what were you doing right here? What were you doing right here when it actually when we come over here and it actually went literally inside the buying area at the 0.5. You understand? Now you're buying. Now you want to buy after it then went up $40. This is victim levels. This means this is where people are now paying a lot of attention to it. You want to get into stuff when people aren't paying that much attention to it. Anyways, let's go on, bro. Path about to fly. I absolutely love Path. I'm actually in Path. Okay, if you're in the Discord, you know we're in Path, and I think Path is going to do incredible because I think this is one of the only stocks that, and it has earnings in 11 days, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it. But this is one of the only stocks that has a lot of robotics and agentic AI that a lot of people aren't paying attention to. Okay, so if you've been following the cycles of money, you know we're in semiconductors. You got space stuff happening, right? And then I believe robotics is going to play a part here very soon. And I think Path is on the hold your path, bro. Hold the path. There's no point of selling down here when I just told you the market's going to get more euphoric. Okay, there's two things you got to know. There's two things you got to know. A pullback might be on the way here soon, but after that, the euphoria continues. Okay, and then the second thing is you gotta know a recession's coming after this, bro. You can't get too sucked into the euphoric hype that's been happening. Okay, and we talked about this. Okay, we talked about this. What about Figma? You look at AMD. Yeah, I want to look at AMD. I want to look at AMD. We got people getting massively bullish up here. Like imagine, like I thought the pullback was gonna be right here. Nah, and the thing is, like, look at this, and I was wrong, because what I'm actually seeing now is that this is nasty bearish divergence. Okay, just nasty bearish divergence that's playing out on a daily time frame. Um, what I'd be paying attention to is a pullback on the way. The pullback has already been here. Like this thing went from 470 to 419. I think it can realistically maybe touch 388 before it gets any decent bounce. I would like. There's people coming into next week very bullish. Like you might get wrecked. This is where people listen, man. I've been in the market for a while. This is where you want to be more careful than you are euphoric. Okay, the time to have been euphoric was or super euphoric. Just buy was mid-April, early May, early this month. Okay, now you're kind of getting into the later parts where people are taking profits, man. People are taking profits. Okay, wait for people to take some profits. Okay, this thing went from 200 to 480 in 1 month. All right. You could have caught it if you were bullish, if you were paying attention to WAM. We told you it was coming. A pullback, the whole stock is a pullback. I have no idea what you meant by that, man. I really don't. I really don't. But yeah, this pullback makes sense. It's literally at the 2.618. But I actually think AMD can start getting to 620. I think it's going to be a $1 trillion stock. So I think it's going to get to 620. It just needs a little breather, maybe a 388 or something. MU went from 300 to 800 in 1 month and a half. I made bread off that. I made over 20 bands on MU. Can we look at Snow? Let's look at Snow. MU isn't really one that I'm interested in just now because it needs a pullback. But Snow, and because like the contracts are mad expensive. But Snow has earnings in 10 days. I'm not very interested in it because it has earnings in 10 days. Usually they don't do too much until the earnings pass. But it is a stock that I like. Okay, it is a stock that I like. This thing is in massive, and the thing is like it has earnings in 10 days, so I don't want to spend too much time on it. Okay. And the reason being is because this could have earnings, like it needs to trade above 172 first of all, but it could have earnings and then break below all the support. Okay, so I want to see what it does after earnings. Anything before then is kind of risky. ASTS. Can we look at Figma? I actually do want to look at Figma. I like ASTS. I really do. You have large hidden bull divergence that's playing out. Okay, on a weekly time frame. So obviously, if we're paying attention to the weekly time frame, that doesn't mean it's going to happen this week. or next week. Weekly time frames take time to develop. Okay, maybe in June or July, but best believe these weekly hidden bull divergences, they usually lead you to that next leg higher and to that next new all-time high of the stock. Okay, so I actually think ASTS. I think I drew this up earlier. I think it can start getting 157. Okay, but it needs to break above 105 for the party starts. Okay, so we're just gonna put a party start level. All right, this is where the party starts. And by party starts, I mean, okay, once it gets above 105, we then know it's going back to all time high 128, and we know it's going to not double top, but then start pushing to 157, okay, maybe even higher. I like ASTS, I really do. Great, it looks amazing. The last time that this same thing I talked about happened was right here from this low to this low, right, where you have this hidden bull divergence, okay, and then guess what happened? It ended up taking you back to that new all time high, okay. So I think the same thing's gonna play out. Maybe it plays around right here for a little bit, but ultimately, I think, like I said, I think the majority of the market is very, 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 very bullish. Okay, very, 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 very bullish. But we could get a cool down. I want to look at Figma, Baba, and Baidu. I'm getting kind of scared because, like I said, China and the U.S. They're basically, they're saying they don't really want to buy. They're getting into like some, are we gonna buy stuff? So are we gonna buy China stuff? So I'm paying attention to it, but I don't want to look at it right now. Figma's interesting. Figma's interesting because the earnings was actually very good. It was very good. Um, it was very good, and currently, we could see a software rotation. I would say for this to start getting really interesting, it needs to start breaking above 20. These are the levels like 26, 31, right? And then above 31, then you can start seeing like 50. Okay, I think Figma is actually a decent buy here at 12 billion. I really do. I really do. Figma 12 billion, like, yeah, I think it's a decent buy. Considering what the earnings was taught, like they literally went up revenue like 42% or something like that. They actually had a decent earnings. Okay. Um, so they were very overvalued, like when they IPO, but now they got beaten down so bad to where I actually think they're undervalued. Okay. Um, but yeah, I like Figma. I actually think it could start making some moves maybe this week, but depends on what the market wants to give us. Depends on what the market wants to give us, okay? And it need like the reason it rejected, the reason it rejected right here, like you could draw some of these levels, and it literally tells you, okay? Like if you just drew from the swing right here, from the swing low or the swing high to the swing low that we have down there, it literally told you that, yeah, this is where it's gonna reject that. It literally told you, and it went right there, rejected, close below. So you need to close above like 2340 before you can start getting to these next levels, okay? So maybe it does something like this. I don't know, but looks okay. Fuel Cell is one of my favorites. Okay, nobody said anything about Fuel Cell, but shout out to my boy. We're making a whole bunch of money on Fuel Cell, by the way. I'm actually just gonna show you guys the contracts we're in, but Fuel Cell is one of my favorites right now. We're already up like 200, 300% on our contracts, but I think Fuel Cell sitting at $1 billion, it can easily get to $40. Okay, it can easily get to $40 because the market cap is so low. This is one that you absolutely have to be paying attention to. Fuel Cell. Okay, Fuel Cell is what you absolutely have to be paying attention to because it could be another BE. Okay, another Bloom Energy. Okay, they have the same sort of technology, but Fuel Cell is just way cheaper, and it's currently going crazy right now. Okay, now if you want to see the contracts that we're in, I'm actually just gonna show you guys because pump my bags, right? Like pump the bags up, man. Pump the bags up, man. Some Fuel Cell, June 17th or July 17th, 30s at 1.15. Okay, get into those. The party really starts at $35, but I have a final target to like $82. Like I said, we're in a very euphoric market, and stocks like this, like renewable energy. Okay, literally, the CEO of Nvidia was telling you basically what stocks look good right now. He actually said renewable energy or solar farms. Okay, and that's why you saw a huge boost in some of these solar type stocks. I think FSLR. Look at this. Okay, I shouldn't even have to show you guys anything else. Just look at this. Okay, just look at this and then come back to me in a month. Some of you guys are gonna get in. All right, some of you guys are gonna get in. This thing even retested where it needed to retest and actually held above there for months. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. This thing has price targets of 5. Man, like people, if you wanna stop getting into late things and get into some of the early things, make sure you're following WOM. Okay, this is where you find early type of things. Okay, and First Solar I think is early. Um, I think it's early. Now like there is a level like 247. That is the level that it needs to really hold above, and really 259 like around here. But if it can, I think it can start breaking out of there. I think it can start breaking out of there and start giving us 500. Somebody said how long you been doing this? Almost 10 years. No, yeah, almost 10 years. I think 11 actually. Yeah, like 11. I don't know. It was in 2016, 2015, or no, 2017. But yeah, First Solar looks good. Like said, G been spamming for a year now. I mean, that stock just started moving, bro. But yeah, actually, yeah, like said, G, you're absolutely right, sir. I like some of these stocks. These stocks look good. They look great, man. They look great. Now I wouldn't now up 23% on a Friday. I would wait for a little pullback, but looks great. Do you have advice for someone just starting? If you're just starting, man, make sure you have your foundation set up. Okay, don't come in, you know, don't come in here, just trying to buy some options. Buy your equity portfolio first, like buy things, buy and hold some things. Build that up. Maybe I don't know. Maybe let's say you have $10,000. I would be putting $1,000 monthly. I'll take out 9,000, put the $1,000 monthly. So now you have 9 months. Hopefully you made some more money in between, and then with the other 1,000, see what you could do with some options, and going light on everything. Put like $100 and trying to find some good plays, etc. Wingstop, bro. How's EOSE? Let's look at EOSE. Dang, EOSE did some people crazy. I like it because it's battery storage, but I don't really like the chart. But anyways, I'll be talking to you guys later, man. Have a fantastic week. There's some things I'm paying attention to. Okay, I'm just trying to be a bit more careful here. There is some very nice setups. Okay, some very nice setups like Starbucks. Like I'm looking for setups that haven't gone crazy because we're in a market where a lot of these setups are gonna end up going absolutely nuclear. Okay, Starbucks is one of them. Nobody said Starbucks, but I gotta show you guys Starbucks. This thing has not broken out in 6 years. It hasn't broken out in 6 years, and it looks like it's actually ready to break out here very soon. Very soon. Okay. Love Starbucks. Um, I love solar stocks. Somebody said EMPH. Yeah, EMPH, First Solar. But they're already gone. So wait for a pullback or something. Red day will probably be beneficial. Um, but yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. Hopefully you guys have a week this week. You know, link is in the bio if you need anything. And let's kill it. Let's kill it this week, man. Let's make some money. Wingstop, bro. Like, all right, man. Let's look at Wingstop. I like Wingstop. I like it. I like it. I actually like look at how this closed. Like, this is what I mean by money's gonna rotate. Money's gonna rotate. You gotta be early to some of this stuff. I think some of these consumer service stocks like Wingstop, like McDonald's, right? Like these stocks look good. They're being down, but some of these close like very well. Like this is a reversal candle stock. This hasn't had a reversal candle in 3 weeks. Like look at these 3 weeks, and now all of a sudden this week, I've seen these candles print like a huge green candle. When that candle pops up. All right. Like look right here. You know those candles are those. I love those candles. It's a reversal candle. But anyways, I'll talk to you guys later, man. I'm out. Peace. Run is great too.